Hello.
Hola.
Bonjour.
Привет. 你好. Hello again and welcome to Language with Chu. On my last video, I talked about the motivation to speak a new language and the benefits of speaking new languages. On this one, I wanted to talk about the methods. Some people go to a class. I'm not too much of a fan of a class, even though I give classes too. I teach in groups because the levels are too uneven, and because you don't really get a lot of chances to talk and correct your specific problems. So I'd say sometimes it's good, especially if it's in a small group, and if the teacher makes you talk and practice lots. Otherwise, be careful with classes. Second one is, should I learn on my own? Yes, I think so, but from whom? And that's a big question mark, because when you learn on a one-on-one with a teacher, if it's too focused on one aspect of language, say grammar, you'll probably get bored. You won't be learning the language as a whole. But some teachers or tutors are really good at having a proper progression, etc. You would have to check them out. There's websites like italki.com that propose tutors or teachers for a very reasonable price very often, and you can check several out and see which one you like. But personally, I leave that for a later stage. And as you can guess, because I'm very interested in language and stuff, I did quite a bit of research and digging to see who had the best method. And usually, I think the smart thing to do is go for the people who are really good at it. And those are several polyglots. Now, not all polyglots. Polyglot is a person who speaks many languages. In my opinion, there's very few, just a handful, who are really, really good and serious at what they do, and who have something to show that their method works. There's many fake polyglots out there that just rehearse stuff to talk to you on a video, or that use, if I spoke to you right now with my basic Chinese, you would be impressed because you're like, whoa, she speaks Chinese, she sounds good. But I can't have more than a basic conversation, if I tell you the truth. So if you don't know the language, you'll probably be fooled by thinking, wow, they're fluent, they're just talking. Yeah, but self-introducing is not really hard to do in any language. So some people claim that to speak 20, 30 languages, etc. When I know the languages they're speaking, very often I find myself saying, oh my God, this person is just a fake. But there are some real ones. And my favorite, personally, but that's just a personal opinion, is Luca Lamparello. You can find him on YouTube. He has a website, lucalamparello.com. His method, because he's an engineer from a background, I think, and he's passionate about languages, he's created a method that, for me, it worked like crazy. And I'm showing it to my husband right now, and he's learning Spanish, my mother tongue, and he's making progress like you wouldn't believe it. So I think his method is really worth checking out. But overall, you have to look at the person's background, what they do, how well they speak their languages, if you like their method or not. In the case of Luca, he engages all skills. He uses spaced repetition. So you work on different skills every day, having enough time to forget something so that you remember it better the next time. And now I won't go into the details of his method, but it's really, really, really amazing to me. And I went from a basic, very, very basic level in Russian, barely an A1, to a B1 within 5 or 6 months with his method. So I thought it was pretty good, because in the past it would have taken me longer. And then I think there's others. I like Steve Kaufman too. He seems to be pretty good at his method too. He has a website as well that you can check out. And there's also Richard Simcott, but I'm not very familiar with his method, so I couldn't tell you much. But I think those three are the legitimate kind. Others I've checked, and it's also a matter of preference. For example, the three that I'm talking about have a very good pronunciation. And for me, that's key, because I think that appropriating yourself of the sounds of a language and the music, etc., and sounding as much as possible like a native English speaker makes you absorb the language at another level. But that's just me. Other people prefer to keep their accent, and that's perfectly fine. You can still communicate very well as long as you're understood. It doesn't matter. So that was just one thing that made me decide that they were good, especially Luca. But I just liked his system, because I think it's also backed by science in a way. He has done a lot of research about the importance of how much input should we get, how much output, so how much should we produce and when. The techniques are just sound. He combines intensive learning, so where you have to take time and focus on learning, and more passive learning, where you're just washing the dishes and listening to a podcast, etc. Highly, highly recommended if you can check him out. And well, that's it. I think you have to choose the method that is more convenient for you. I wouldn't depend on a teacher to teach you the language, because language is not like mathematics. You don't really study it, you learn it. And to really get good at it, you have to use material that is engaging. In fact, the sooner you get to a point where you can listen to stuff that you would listen to in your native tongue anyway, because you're interested in the subject, the faster you get at learning it. So Luca and others, Steve Kaufman too, they use authentic material. You can choose the topic and learn through it rather than, with a grammar book, etc. I like grammar, but I understand that it's not what gets you to the point where you can really be comfortable in the language. But sometimes it's very useful, and I do it as an accessory, as an extra to language learning. But most of the time I focus on input, and then at a certain point when I'm comfortable, I start talking and having conversations, etc. And that's when a tutor can come in very handy too. But anyway, I look forward to hearing if anybody else has other methods, or if they prefer classes, or they prefer grammar books only, or whatever. Each person has their own method. I'm just telling you what worked for me, and just to be picky when you pick a teacher or a tutor or a polyglot even, to get examples from and to learn from. I hope you like this video and that you soon start learning many, many languages. And see you next time for more language tips, trivia, anything about language that is interesting. See you soon. Bye.